Hey, all you cool cats and kittens. It's Mr. Schlosser. Hopefully you haven't watched The Tiger King because it's not appropriate for children your age. We're here at the Milan Estate, and with me, as always, is my lovely assistant, Margaret. She'll be running the camera today. She has purchased us this lovely marker board tripod so that I can start doing some YouTube videos to reach out to you guys. Now, you'll all be receiving at-home packets, mail-in packets that were being sent to you. And I want you guys to understand, from me, you have the option. You can do that packet if you want. I don't care. But you also have, for every assignment, you can just watch a corresponding video, which is going to be me talking about math for a while. A lot like we do in class. The difference is we're not in class, and I can't make fun of Lucky. But I'll probably try to find some ways to do it anyway. So again, you can do the online stuff with me watching YouTube videos, or you can do the paper packets. It's totally up to you. I'm going to be doing these videos about twice a week for the next month until we're done with school. With that being said, I think it's time to get going on today's agenda. Oh, well, look at that. The first item on today's agenda is to prank call Miss Foreman. I think we better do that. Let's see here. It's ringing. Hey, is your email running? Oh, you better go catch it. She's not happy. That's okay. She's gonna call back here in a second. We might have to take that. But I wanted you guys to be here for every single part of my day. That's Miss Foreman right now. Hey, we were prank calling you for my video, so we're still on air, so I'm gonna let you go. I'll call you back in a little bit. She's not that mad anymore. All right, let's talk about Pythagoras. He was an old Greek dude, and if you read the packet that I sent home, I have a whole page dedicated to talking about him and kind of his life's work. So that's what this video is going to be about. It's going to be about me talking about Pythagoras and really why he's so important for a 10th grade geometry student to understand. Well, let's start. I don't know how long ago this happened. I really have no idea. You have to ask Mr. Thompson or somebody who's good at history. But a long time ago, like thousands of years ago, there was this Greek dude, and his name was Pythagoras, and he was pretty obsessed with shapes. He loved all kinds of shapes, and he had this obsession with these five solid figures, and they're like all kinds of weird names that I can't pronounce. But then he came up with this other system about right triangles, and that's really how he got super famous, is the Pythagorean theorem, which we're going to talk about that. But first, let's talk about kind of how crazy this guy actually was. So he was a mathematician, a philosopher, and a teacher. I also want to let you guys know that I am not a historian, but it is really likely that probably some of the theorems that he has credit for today, he didn't even come up with. Because back then, you got to remember, there's no TV, there's no social media. Some dude came up with an idea, and probably, a couple thousand miles away in a whole nother part of the world, another guy came up with the same idea. So trying to figure out who came up with these ideas first is really difficult, and it's a pretty interesting concept in history. But for our sake and for geometry class's sake, we're going to say that Pythagoras is the guy who developed the Pythagorean theorem about right triangles. And I'm sure you've had some exposure to that probably in 8th grade. We're going to hopefully go a little deeper, and if we were in class, we'd definitely be going deeper. But for today, what I need you to know is that he was old, he was Greek, he was a philosopher, he was a mathematician, and he was a teacher. And he had a whole school that was dedicated to his philosophies in life, which actually got kind of weird. One of the things that Pythagoras talked about was that he felt like numbers had personalities. So maybe he was losing it a little bit, I'm not sure, but he truly felt like each individual number had its own personality. I kind of like that. Do a number here, 87. That number definitely has a personality. I think that number's Chase. Let me try again. 22. Yeah, that number feels like Garrett to me. Yeah, maybe Pythagoras was onto something. Maybe numbers do have personalities. Why do we care about this dude? Well, for me, the answer is really simple. I've been building things for a long time. We've talked about this in class. And building things, we're going to have a whole video on right triangles in real life and Pythagoras in real life. And I'm going to go out on the town, probably our backyard, and I'm going to show you some areas where Pythagorean's theorem is directly in play. But for now, I'm going to give you a kind of run-of-the-mill idea of why I care about it. Some of you probably know what this is. This is a cheap one. The plastic is knocked off of it a little bit. This is called a speed square. And every carpenter uses one to make sure that things are a right angle. Well, you always need to know when there's a right angle in construction. So if I take this, and this is kind of hard to do, I can use my speed square to make sure that I create a right angle. That's really important, and that's really pivotal to the Pythagorean theorem, because what the Pythagorean theorem says is that I can use the squares of these legs to calculate the length of this hypotenuse. Now, that's a pretty interesting concept, because I want you to think about that for a minute. It was really easy when Pythagoras started to think about this to measure this distance right here. It was straight. He could say, oh, it's 3. And it was easy to measure this one. It was straight. He could say, oh, it's 4. But this one was hard to measure because it wasn't an exactly straight line. It was a diagonal line. So he needed to find a system where he could accurately predict the length of this long side of the triangle. I know what you're thinking. And yes, the name of this long side is called a hypotenuse. It's pretty awesome. That's a cool name. I don't know why it's a cool name, but it's a cool name. So what Pythagoras said is that if we took a right triangle and we took the sum of these squares, we'll call this A, and this is the square of A, and this B, and this is the square of B, that would be equal to C, the square of C, if it was a right triangle. Now, the applications of this are many. I can't even begin to start thinking about all the different ways that this is useful. But I, again, am going to have a video of showing you exactly how Pythagorean's theorem is used in everyday life. And we're going to go outside, we're going to measure stuff. I'm going to have my Stanley tape measure. It's going to be a great time. But for now, what I want you to know is that this was an old Greek dude who came up with a theorem designed to do this, to predict the measure of a hypotenuse of a right triangle every single time. And it works. And it works well. The next video, we're going to solve some of these in the classroom environment. I'm going to show you exactly how we solve these. It's very easy. It's very straightforward. Following that, we will do a real life video where we look at some examples in real life. That's all I have to say for now. I just want to also let you guys know that it's hard to be at home, I know, but I hope every one of you is doing well. We're hanging out. We're playing with the dog. We're making videos. I'm going to keep doing this. I miss all you guys. I hope to see you in the fall. Deuces.